Uh-oh. That means I got to be careful and watch what I say. Yes, true. So I think that what we'll do is we'll kind of wait for the rest of the group that's over doing a carving right now in the alternate shop, the CNC room. Yes, exactly. The CNC room. I've been harassed about calling it the old library. So I'm trying to avoid using that terminology, but anyway, so do we have Zoomers?
Yeah, Norm London is
Oh,
2 people, but
okay. Oh, okay. Well, welcome to our Zoom people. So tonight we have a couple things that we're going to be doing. First of all, what we generally do is we just introduce ourselves. We talk about what we do in CNC, or if you're not actively doing something, what you would like to do, and just kind of to get to know everybody and kind of see where they're coming from and so forth and where they want to go. It doesn't matter if you have a CNC machine. It really doesn't make all that much difference if you are knowledgeable about CNC. This is just kind of an area to get familiar with CNC stuff. So my name is Craig Jones. I have been a guild member for probably 10 years or more at the guild. I am responsible for a couple things in the CNC world. I started off with a small 2-foot by 2-foot CNC machine, which now lives over in the CNC room. I upgraded my machine, and my company decided that they would donate it to the guild. It sat in the storeroom for 8 years, something like that, totally unused. And finally, our current CNC group here at the guild has been successful at setting up classes and also getting a couple new machines. So I'm pretty thrilled to be a part of it. But, you know, we have several others that are kind of driving the CNC initiative here at the guild. Thank goodness, in my mind. So I do a variety of different things. I brought a couple things to show, just their work in progress pieces, using some CNC and some traditional woodworking things. So I'll show those in a little bit. I make signs. I've done just a bunch of different things. I do edge-lit signs for LED in the base that lights up the acrylic signs, and just a variety of different things. So, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Dorr. I've been had a CNC now for probably 6-8 years, something like that, and was part of this group kind of from the inception. But I've got a Shark. It kind of fits my needs. I don't know if I were doing a little bit more things, I might choose a different machine, but it does okay for me, and price point was about right. Currently I do mostly small boxes and that kind of stuff, inlays, so on. I've dabbled in signs. I've done some jewelry boxes and whatever. Just played with, just see what the thing will do. Just, I don't know, that's about it.
Hi, I'm Gina. I've never done CNC. I'm just learning about it, but I'm actually here because I'm a new volunteer. So I volunteered to volunteer. And Rich said he could use some help. So I'm just here to kind of figure out how I can help with coordination, admin, whatever. So that's it.
Thank you. I'm Ian Walton, and I've also been around in the group probably as long as Bruce. I dabble in various things. I've got a box I'll show you in a minute, but I'm mainly interested in the technology rather than the product.
I'm Shane Kennington, and I just go ahead. More important. Yes, the important thing. I just about a month ago ordered my Onefinity Foreman and hoping to get it by September. My hope is to use it to build. I make custom lamps currently just for pleasure, but would like to turn it into a side business as I transition out of my current career into something more creative and other things. I'm kind of just exploring different areas, but I think the CNC is the machine that kind of works best for the ideas that I have and what I want to create using it. So
I'm Tim Carell. Been a member of the Guild for about 4 years. I've been attending these meetings for, I guess 3 or 4 months now, I suppose. I don't have a CNC machine. I am just kind of exploring, seeing what the barrier to entry is and whether I think I can, rappel my way up over it. We'll see. So for right now, just checking things out.
Hi, I'm Simon Bosley. I took the CNC class in March, I think it was, and then went on a 5-week vacation to recover from the class. But I'm back. My interest, I'm trying to make some Chippendale chairs, and I want to try and do some ornamentation without getting into carving. So that's my interest.
I completely sympathize with you for not wanting to get out the carving tools. To each his own, and that's something that certainly there's a incredible amount of stuff that they can do. One of the things that I enjoy is I don't think that I have the desire or the time left in my life to become enough of an expert to carve something that looks like whatever I'm going to carve. But with the CNC machine, you can go and actually you can download a program. You don't have to design the program. You can download it and play with it a little bit, and then the machine does the carving for you. Now, in the guild, I have to admit, and I have to tell you that us CNC folks are considered cheaters. And I love it. I love being called a cheater because I can do things that I wouldn't be able to do with a lot of traditional woodworking. So welcome to the Guild CNC Cheaters group. We have another person that needs to introduce themselves. We have gone through to all the rest of the introduction. Just a second. We have somebody zooming in.
Oh, hey, Zoom person. I'm Kate. I like playing with metal and also with wood. And today I just did my certification with the CNC router. So I'm very excited.
Exciting times. For those of you who don't know a lot about the CNC program here at the Guild, the program requires that somebody, generally speaking, take the test or take the class to learn about CNC, to learn about our Guild CNC machines. And then part of that class is coming in and doing a certification. to show that, yes, in fact, you learned how to use the machine safely and how to get a product or a project done. And once you're certified, then through the guild, you can sign up for shop time. And then you can also reserve one of the CNC machines. So you can use it during that 4 hours of shop time. So that's a way to cut down part of at least the financial barrier of getting into CNC. So that's kind of our plan for doing the CNC through the guild. So unfortunately, this week, or well, Saturday's class has been canceled. I'm afraid, I'm sorry, but basically of the 6 of us that have run and been involved in the classes, 3 people are not able to be here. 2 are out of town, and I have a family commitment that I'm not going to be able to go. So as opposed to taking the risk of not really giving the proper class, I say we, the guild decided to cancel the class and rebook it probably for next month. So I wonder if anybody else, okay, show and tell. You have something to show? Okay, I'll show my little. These are just a couple of work in progress things that I do with my brother-in-law. We have done trophies for a variety of different car shows. So this is, well, it's not wired up yet, but this is just an extra trophy for a car show that happened a couple of weeks ago. My brother-in-law uses a laser mostly to carve the acrylic. And then I do all of the woodworking and the putting in the LEDs and that sort of thing. So this is just a sample of something that can be done in conjunction with the CNC. The one piece that I do with the CNC that is really helpful is carving the slot for the acrylic to go into, and kind of like boards that are supposedly 3/4 inch or whatever, acrylic comes and you order a 1/4 inch acrylic, and it's not necessarily exactly a 1/4 inch. And the slot needs to be really accurate. So the CNC machine really does a good job of carving. Now, I have to admit that when I first bought my CNC machine, I thought, I'm not going to have to use all these traditional tools. You know, I can get rid of my chisels. I can get rid of a lot of the stuff. I think I use those more than anything. Cutting a square edge in a pocket with a router bit does not carve square corners. So I used my handy dandy little chisel to carve out the corners. Another little project that I've brought in, and again, this is a work in progress. It's not put together yet permanently. It's a little candy machine. My son is a contractor, and if he's just impossible to buy something for. So I'm always looking for something unique that is fun for him. So this is my current project for his birthday a week ago. But the good news is that I've got 50 weeks to get it done for a birthday. No, I'll give it to him soon. Christmas is coming too. But, you know, this was just a fun little thing that I found, and I thought, oh, I'll use my CNC machine to carve the dovetails and to, you know, just the lamination. So doing a variety of different things, it was just fun to make it challenging. Pardon? Of course, yes. And I learned a lot and I struggled a lot, even with the program. The program seems to be more for putting two pieces of like wood together as in a joint. But this, I wanted a different color wood, so a different type of wood to be in the corner, and that provided several challenges. So I was hoping that Vince would be here to give me my additional training, but oh well. So basically, this is going to have a little knob. So you pull the slide out and the candy dumps into this little slot. And when it comes out, there will be a little half bowl here to catch the candy. So yeah, we'll see. Pardon? He turned 50 last week. So he is definitely not the little kid. But as a successful business person, if he wants something, he just buys it. So it's challenging to try and figure out something to give to him. Anyway, but it's fun. So this is my latest challenge, and now I've come up with another challenging piece to build that it's not carved in wood yet. Maybe next month. Okay. 3 weeks. No, to actually carve the dovetails. One set of dovetails, the pins and tails probably takes about 10 or 15 minutes to carve. One of the things that is necessary is you have to have something to hold the piece vertical. So my machine is, well, just like the Maverick in the other room that has the, yeah. And so there are some programs that allow you to do it on horizontal, on the flat board. They use. Okay. Okay. Is that something about not being a cheater? Okay, whatever. Okay. Next.
Well, if we're going to go to the presentation, I may rig myself up actually as well. Yeah.
I'll make sure.
So here we go. So are you hearing me? Yeah. So given I'm talking about shop tips and technical things, I thought I never really show anything I've ever made to the audience. So this is a box. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's a carved box. The Chinese make these things out of cinnabar lacquer, and I thought I'd have a go. This is Padauk, is the wood, and it does actually come out quite red. As I pass it around, you will see this isn't finished. The lid doesn't come off. Well, in fact, but I thought I'd put a coat of finish on and bring it in just to show, because I'm working on it right now. as you do see it, you might, anybody who has any idea why Purdue comes up with these funny stain lines, I'd be very interested if anybody knows much about such wood. But anyway, its primary purpose, although it's riddled with mistakes, is I never had much success in downloading stuff from the internet. The detail of the things you can download is very small because they're typically made for 3D printers, which can print with very tiny nozzles. So I hadn't had a lot of luck downloading some of these things until I discovered I've got some very small little engraving bits. They're just tiny pointed little 1/8 of an inch tiny engraving bits, just V bits. And finally, I managed to bring out, as you have a look at it, some of the really fine details. I'm very pleased with that. The box in itself is, as I say, it will be all right on the day. But anyway, that's my show and tell, and you have a little look at that while I'm getting ready for the next bit. Yeah, so I've got some goodies. Take this, put it here. Do that. It will hopefully come back. So I've called this shop tips, this talk. We can zoom out a little bit now, I think. I've called this shop tips rather in honor of the if those of you who read Fine Woodworking magazine, there was always a very useful section called Proven Shop Tips, which were little hints and tips as to how to do various things. And I thought I would sort of just spend half an hour talking about some of the things that I use around my CNC machine to sort of make things go a little bit easier. So I put together a little presentation to that effect. Can you see that? Yes, you can. I don't know that we need to make it any bigger. Maybe I'll go into full screen. Obviously not full screen. So probably because it's going to go, isn't it? Okay. You see that okay? Right, so this is the bed of my CNC machine. And I'll say a couple of things about it to help. Mine is not a very big machine. We're talking the depth of it is about it's about 500 centimeters, and it's about 50 about this wide. So it's a relatively small machine compared to some of the big ones over there. But it suits me fine. The reason for showing this is twofold. First of all, work holding is a continual problem with CNC. No matter how many times you try, you will still get things that screw up because they come loose. I watch quite a lot of videos from real metal machinists who do this thing for a living properly, and they of course all use vices. And they're rarely, and you can actually get small vices for a CNC. That is actually, as you can see, part of this box. So it doesn't do big stuff, but it holds it terribly securely and terribly repeatably. You can zero off the corner of the vise. That's one of the setup points on my machine. It will always go back to there, and it makes cutting really terribly easy for small work. If you're doing big work, of course, you're into clamps and all sorts of other things. But for small work, I've really got a great deal of use out of it. The other thing to point out is the track, which is aluminum T-track. Like everybody else, I've been through the phase of taking pieces of MDF and drilling holes into it and threading those holes to make a what they call a spoil board table that you can cut into. And they do work to an extent. They have some serious problems. If you really torque down on them, you'll pull the inserts out. However you manage to space the holes. At one point, I even tried to do some mathematics to work out what the optimal spacing of the holes were. I could never, there was always a situation where the clamp would never quite get to the thing I wanted to clamp. So I thought, to hell with it. I'm going to buy some aluminum. Why have I disappeared? Yes, some aluminum, which is incredibly good value. That sheet there, which covers my whole bed, is $40 if you buy it from the right sort of place. So even for people who have a large machine with maybe a large MDF bed, I would certainly recommend devoting a part of it to this sort of clamping material. So with this, I can pretty much clamp, as you'll see in some of the further photos, pretty much, I never any longer have clamping problems. I actually always used to.
Did you buy that?
Yeah, I bought it from Misumi. If there are people who are interested, I will actually post some of the sources for some of this material at the end. I'll do it later, but because some of these things are worth buying. So that's a sort of a general introduction to sort of my setup. It's not very clear, I know that. I just got myself a new spindle because my trusty router of many years broke, alas, and I'm now into spindle land. Let's see if this will move. Why is it not moving? There we go. Right. Now, small parts. Holding small parts, very difficult. But by small, I'm talking, you know, tiny little things. You can't obviously clamp them. You can use a technique that some of you will be familiar with, which is double-sided sticky tape. Some of you have probably read about that. But typically when I use sticky tape, I just do a sort of a thing. I don't spread it evenly. It's far too much trouble to do that. So with very small items like this, it's a devil of a job to hold them down when you're cutting them. These are some little clamp handles. They're only this sort of size here. So a hint that I would have is what I do is I cut them out, but I don't cut them right through the wood. And then I take them to the bandsaw with a piece of tape over them, and then I just slice off whatever depth they happen to be. Now, you can't do super accurate things here. If they absolutely have to be ½ an inch thick, you're probably going to have to fiddle with your bandsaw fence a few times to get it right. But in terms of doing it, you just slice them off, and then you've got your little bits all separate. I find this very useful. I make little badges, which I cut from the ends of a piece of square wood, and I just work on the top end of the wood. And again, I do the badge, do the lettering, then I just slide it through the bandsaw, cut it off, got a nice fresh edge, do another badge, slide it through. So the cut-off technique with a bandsaw is something that I suppose I learned from somebody else, I don't know. Oh, here's a better view of the vise. As you can see, it's aluminum, and therefore it can indeed be cut into if you so choose to do. But it doesn't do a lot. It doesn't do a lot of damage to anything really. It just makes the vise look ugly. In future shots, I've actually touched it up with black paint to avoid my further embarrassment. But I thought I'd show you that one. Now, again, this T-track allows you to do a variety of very complicated, what would otherwise be fairly complicated holding things, that again, I find quite difficult to achieve. This is actually working on the end of the board. I have quite a lot of Z clearance on my machine, which is probably the most important thing if you're buying a CNC, I would say is Z clearance. Big, 12 inches. I have 12 inches, yeah. Because you see, I mean, when you put things in the vise, you've immediately lost the height of the vise, which is 2 inches. And some of the machines that are still on the market have only really got 3 or 4 inches of travel. That certainly is a big tip, is if you can get a large height, go for it. So this is working on the edge. Sorry?
I was just saying that the Explorer, the small machines.
Yeah.
The seat height was one of the main reasons that I upgraded.
Yeah, it just,
On a large piece of wood.
yeah. the comments. Oh, right. Yes. No, Craig was saying that one of his reasons for upgrading his machine altogether was to get a better Z height. Oh, by the way, the purpose of this is really to stimulate. If you got tips, and please chip in. I'm not going to preach you. So this is working on the edge of the board, and you can see this is a fairly complicated. I'm not going to suggest anybody repeat it, but you do get some serious options which you can't get any other way. So T-track I would definitely go for if I were doing it again. The other thing I'll show you is these little clamps. I brought one with me. These are actually iron, and if you cut into these, they will hurt your bit really rather badly. But they are the most elegant things. They have a little T-nut here that fits into the track. Where have we gone? Yeah, little T-nut here that fits into the track. Very low profile, very simple. Very, very easy to put in, just a hex bolt fitting. And I find these tremendous. Again, you can fit them in places where you can't fit other clamps. So again, I'll pass some of these round if you don't steal them, please. Okay. Enough of those for a while. This is my handheld jogging thing. I don't know. They come with a variety of names, but this is the thing that you hold while you're jogging the machine and positioning it, rather than using a keyboard. This is just a simple $10 USB keypad, numeric keypad, and if you use either Max 3 or the software that I use, which is called CNC, you can define hotkeys, what are called hotkeys. You just map the keys on your keypad to various functions. So as you'll see as I pass it round, I've got Y, Z, X jogging. I can zero out the axes on this. I can do a lot. I can change the speed. I can even stop the machine. So you basically define whatever the ASCII character is. You can link it to a function in the software. So you're not continually messing around with a keyboard and a computer when you're doing things. It helps enormously. There are many more complicated versions of this. Industrial machines have very complicated devices that sell for a fortune. Some people use Xbox controllers. I find those incredibly ungainly. I have no idea what people, unless you're an Xboxer. Okay, fine. Okay, there are those that swear by them. Anyway, this is just a little. I made I'll pass it around again, not because it's only great, but I actually made the little key tops here. I just cut those on the CNC. They're just 2 layers. I think it's a layer of. I think it's a layer of black and then a layer of something else, and I just cut into it. And again, getting these off, holding these down and cutting them off is another example of why you probably need something other than a clamp. And okay. Let's see what else. Oh, I'll do some more shows. This Tracy, who is out there not being here, runs jobs that take for hours and hours and hours and hours. So I don't do such long ones, but I decided a camera was a great idea, a great thing to have. And I will show you later on at the very end the sort of screen quality I get with this. But this just sits above my machine. It's I believe it's a Wise. I bought it years ago for a completely different purpose. It costs very little money. It just hooks into a 5-volt power supply, it logs into your wireless network, and I sit way away from the machine, and I've got my little iPad open, and I can see exactly what's going on. I can see sound, I can hear it. I don't look at it all the time, but the little tweepy noise, the minute the machine touches something it shouldn't be, the noise goes up, and eventually I will put a remote emergency stop, because So yeah, I get sound through that. As I say, I bought it for a security camera, which it does work. I mean, it does do a perfectly good job. But it's unfortunately the shots that I get through it are right at the end. So remind me to come back to it. But that works really. It's really cool. And you sit in the comfort of your home, watching your machine in the garage doing its bit. No, this just plugs into this. This is to power it. This is just a 5 amp. This is just a USB power supply. Once this is powered up, it just detects your network, and you download an application for the in my case an iPad, and Bob's your uncle. Away you go. Okay, I've got one or two more show and tells. Right, let's go back to the slideshow, shall we? What's the next one? Okay, right. So those are these clamps in action. As you can see, they're very, very simple, low profile things. We all have our favorites, but I'm saying I'd never seen these before. I used to make these wooden things, it won't have it will bust. I've tried it. Yeah, it doesn't. This enormous amount of force with this when you jack this down, and you can see it's only really holding on to a tiny little, almost a quarter of an inch, 5 millimeter strip on the wood, and they do work. I can swear by them, and I haven't cut one yet at all. I don't know why this. If I just do enter, yeah, I think this is the same thing. Yeah, so again, I clamp little T-slots and things and squares, and you do all manner of things to this stuff. This is my dust collection, and again, it's a sort of a vague shout out to the company that makes it, which is called PwC CNC, a great little one-man outfit who makes these things. It all fits to the back of the router. You see the one in there comes right down on the top, and you can't see a damn what's going on. It's all happening under a great big brush. There's this thing here. I really don't think we need to see me anymore. My forge isn't photographic enough. This thing here actually has a clip-on, so the front portion of the thing has a little magnetic clip-on, so it's completely surrounded. But for visibility, that's a tremendous product. I've had to modify it quite a bit to fit my own particular configuration. But for most standard machines, this guy will produce your kit with the whole deal. All right, this is a shot. Yeah, this is the shot that I get from my camera, and I can zoom in. And so I can really see what's going on in the machine. And I sit there an evening watching the TV, and the machine's cutting, and it's going cheep, 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 cheep. As it makes, I just turn the volume down. I get one of them if I were a younger man. Okay, now I'm now going to finish with this, and I've got one or two other things to show, so we can go back to the other view. There's an awful lot of time spent setting the depths of bits in CNC, and it's the thing that you will most often get wrong. You will be continually changing. As you change bits, you will forget to either zero them, or you'll get them not quite right, or whatever. It is actually one of these tedious aspects of the job that the consequences of not getting it right are really quite serious. And so I'm constantly looking for ways to make it easier. In commercial CNC shops, they use all manner of tool setters. I have a tool setter, and we have one over here. The machine will go over to the corner, and it will go down, and it will find the length of the bit. But one of the things I find most helpful is, and again, it's the same company, PwC CNC. They make these little things with little collars, little grub collar, just a little screw-in collar. that you put over the bit. And this device is to set it so they're all set to the same height. So you put your bits in here. There are 2 plates for different sizes of bits. You put your bit in here with the collar on, push it down to one of these plates and tighten the collar. So you've then registered it at a constant depth. And you do that for all your bits. Now, in practice, I do not use this particular thing that he sold me. I find these a little bit big. I use slightly, I found a brand of collar which is very streamlined, very small, and which comes in a variety of different sizes. And I use those. So all my bits are the same length. So once I've zeroed out on the top of the box, I can then change to a new bit. And it will either be exactly the same position because it's the same length of bit, or if it's a very much smaller, some of my small engraving bits are only about this long in toto. So for them, I have to record the offset, the difference between the big bits and the small ones. But again, that tends to be constant. So I've then just got one number that I just put in and adjust the ZI accordingly. Yeah.
So you have it like held in that when you mount it to your machine?
No, you do this offline. This is just, yeah, this is, I'll pass it round. It'll become much easier to see what's going on when you've got it in your hand. This is just used to actually position the bit in a constant thing. Pass that down as well. But
just gonna say, one of the places where I get some of my bits, they will actually provide the bit with a collar.
oh right, yeah.
And it does pretty much the same thing, where you just put the bit all over right, the collar,
Mhm.
right after the collar.
Yeah. And you're good to go.
Don't have to-
Yeah. And you know, people, the a professional shop will have very complicated bit holders, you know, and some people have automatic changes. I mean, which are terribly expensive and really quite complicated. And I've decided not to make one. I make these things, but I've decided not to make that, because really, once your bits are all the same, once you know the length of the bit, there are facilities in all the software that we use. There are tables where you can record the length of the bit. So once you've told the software which bit you're using, it will look up the length automatically from the table. So they don't all have to be set to the same length, but it just has to be reproducibly insertable into the collet. And that will save you an enormous amount of time, I find, because you're continually, even then you've still got a zero. And I guess the final thing that, have I lost it? Oh yes, it's a feeler gauge. All these people messing around with pieces of paper. If you've watched any videos, you will have seen people messing around with sheets of paper and claiming that the sheet of paper is 40 thousandths. Get a feeler gauge. I use this particular very well used one is exactly 1/10 of a millimeter, which is I work in metric. But you know, if you work in furlongs or fractions of a furlong, you can find one of these that'll fit your need. But I always know this is 0.1, so I will literally go down to the surface. I know this is 0.1. I remove it. 1 more 1/10 of a millimeter down, and I'm done. So the whole process of doing that, getting the zero, getting the bits of the zero, starts to become a sort of a muscle memory thing. And that's how you will stop making mistakes, because you really will, you know, did I center it? Did I do this? That's where the mistakes come. And finally, materials. Craig has talked about acrylic. I use a lot of this is high density polypropylene, which is polyethylene, which is a fantastic material for machining if you've never tried to use it. I make all manner of fixtures and fittings. It's extremely stiff. It machines beautifully. You do get black chips all over, but it's a fantastic piece of, and the tip is, do not buy it from a supplier of materials, buy it from Amazon. These are heavy duty cutting boards. They come in packs of 3. They're, I don't know, they're about 6 by 10. And they cost this, a 6 by 10 piece of this cost me about $6 from Amazon. If you go to a supplier of HDPE, you will pay a great deal of money. But it's a wonderful material. I would recommend it to anybody who's yearns to try something other than wood. And I think that's about all I have to say, unless there are any questions. Yeah.
So do you do like 1/8 inch around where the lid's gonna be and then saw it after? I mean,
Oh no, I'm not gonna, no, sorry. That yeah, the box. I won't get it. The box is gonna no, I'm not gonna saw the box is not, I'm not sawing the box in pieces. The lid is made separately. The only reason the lid is stuck in is I haven't finished fiddling the inside. It's just it's literally the lid is you know, the two, sorry, that's not there at all, is it? That's not there. Okay, the lid's just one of these. Okay, just cross section. It's just going to sit inside. Oh, I would know. Yeah, I would know. Oh right, no, I have done that, but it wouldn't be possible. There are too many edge carvings in this too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and cut it out. And I have done that. And you're right, it is a great method. But you still got to hold the lid on. And this is terribly simple using a CNC machine if you think about it first. So in my haste to carve out the inside of the lid, I forgot I was going to be doing this. I wasn't too careful about exactly where I was so keen to cut the wood out that I didn't reference it properly. So one side's this thick and the other side's that thick. But if it's done properly, that's a very simple lid. I was also going to try hinges, but it's too thin for hinges, and it wouldn't work. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. But that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Good night. Over to you, Mr. Jones.
So I was curious to see if we have any questions from our Zoom folks, or if we could maybe see them or see who's joining us from afar. Ah, oh, we must have bored them. Yes. Oh, uh-oh. So maybe when you ended your yeah. Let's see if we can encourage, maybe just shut the power off. And so, questions? Jorn, do you have any questions for us, for any of us? Or unmute and just ask a question if you got it.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we
Um,
hear.
Yes, no, I don't really have any questions. I'm just curious. I haven't really introduced myself. So my name is Jorn Lundin, and I'm actually a full-time woodworker. And I do believe that CNC is a really big part of a woodworker today. Anyone who doesn't say that, they must be more unprofessional. But no, I think this has been really interesting. I'm in a situation now where I want to buy a CNC machine, but I haven't had time to sit down and do the research and figure out what do I need to know to do that. I've done a few CNC courses, and when I'm creating all my furniture, I draw them up in SketchUp first. So I create everything digital. So I show everything into my client in 3D at the moment. But I would love to use a CNC machine more for obviously for joinery and more for intricate work into the furniture also. So that's the reason why I want to very interested in this and learn more about this. Thank you.
Okay. Are you local here in the Portland area or calling from afar?
No, I am local. I'm actually based in. I can turn on the video. I'm based in Vancouver, Washington, and at the moment, and but my shop is based in Seattle. So I'm just in a way of relocating into Vancouver. So I'm trying to find a suitable area to buy or to build.
Ah, okay.
So that's what I'm looking for.
Since you do make furniture, so now we can actually see him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can see a lot of myself now. I'm like, that's quite
Woo! Yeah, a bunch of them. One of the people that is a part of our CNC group is Vince Corbin. And Vince does a lot of CNC furniture. So he uses his CNC to build just some really, really interesting furniture. It's done with SketchUp, and there's a plugin that he uses that allows you to create all different kinds of furniture. And it actually creates a lot of the joinery and also creates all of the wood things for putting all of the hinges and all of the pieces and parts into furniture. He is not here tonight. He's going on vacation, but I would highly recommend that you talk with Vince. He has it's basically a 3x5 foot machine. It's called a Maverick, and it's a very versatile machine. It's not the cheapest one around for sure, but you know, there are several people here within the guild that have a variety of machines and have used a lot of different ones and have come up with kind of zeroing in on what's the right machine and also the right software to use. So that's something that I would highly recommend that you talk to some of the people here within our guild and our CNC group. So, and I know, well, Vince lives in Vancouver, kind of out toward Camas, but not all the way to Camas. And he has his shop in his garage, the one that doesn't fit cars anymore, like mine. But I know that he would be just happy to give you a tour of his shop, and there's a lot of us that would be most willing to do that. So I encourage you to use us. We all would be happy to share our knowledge and our experience with you. So
thank you. And you said Vince Corbin.
Corbin, yeah. And are you a member of the guild?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
So if you go on to the member group, he is going to be out of town for the next week or so. But I would highly recommend that you get hold of him. If you want to send me an email, I can send you his contact information and get him in touch with you. And I'm Craig Jones. So, and I'd be happy to give you a tour if you decide to come across the river into Beaverton. So, welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited about this. Yeah, I enjoyed the guild early this year, so it's been very exciting to being part of the guild now, and I want to involve myself more also in the instructor side of the guild. But know that this is very interesting, so thank you for that. I will reach out.
You're welcome. And one of the things that we do have at the guild is we've got 3 different machines that you can come in and use the shop and pay for the shop time, which is basically about $10 an hour. But you can also reserve time on one of the CNC machines. You do have to be certified in its use, safety and so forth. But that is an option for you. So thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us and staying with us.
Yep.
So are there any other questions? I know from a couple of you folks here in the that are thinking about machines or hoping to get a machine delivered one of these days or one of these months. Uh-huh. Wow. Yeah. The one. Yeah. 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 Great.